All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic webinar, How to Find Robot Work. I'm
Yes.
excited to be here. I'm your host, Rob House, my co-host, Wilton Rogers. If he was saying it, he'd say he's the host and I'm the co-host. We're co-hosting together this thing. And I'm excited because I know people are going to learn something today, Wilton. They're
Oh,
going to learn something.
they're definitely going to learn something today. Yes, we've been definitely looking forward to this one, just because I think it's time for us to be able to share what we've been doing lately.
Yep. And it's super important people to understand how to find robot work. I mean, it's really about how to find automation in your business, how to find what kind of processes I can automate, how to find what can you take off of your plate.
That's
And
it.
so I'm looking forward for this, and we'll give a couple more, maybe a minute or so for some more folks to come in, and we'll get this thing started.
Awesome.
Go ahead and grab your water, cup of coffee, popcorn if you got it. We'll get this thing started in a minute.
That popcorn, it's going to be a show.
And by the way, too, while you're watching this, if you have a question at any time, you can drop it right there in the chat. If you're watching this, thank you for registering and being here. And we're here to answer your questions. So drop them in the chat and we will answer them. There's no dumb question. No dumb question at all. Except for the only dumb question is the question that you didn't ask that you should have asked. That you really need the answer to, but you didn't get the answer. That's when it hurts. So don't do that. Okay.
I'm, I'm waiting for that.
All right, let's get this thing started. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to How to Find Robot Work webinar. All right, and you know, one of the main things in life, okay,
Yeah.
is when you have situations that take place and you don't know what's going on. You just pause for a second, take a deep breath, and you figure it out. Just like then. I have no idea what happened, where the music and sound came from, but just focus in for a minute
Yeah, you
and I
pause
solved
for a
it.
second too. You pause. I can't get back.
I literally have some automation going off in the background. So this is about how to find robot work and how to get your robots not to come on when you don't need them to. Okay. So I'm happy to be here. Like I said, I'm Rob House. It's my co-host, Wilton Rogers. And we are going to share some information with you today that's going to hopefully move you in your life and business forward. Yeah, four main things we're going to cover. All right. Why do we need to find robot work? All right. What is robot work? All right. What is it? Uh, what is a robot? And how do we find that robot work? These are questions that people are asking, and we're going to get you an answer. So, first, why do we need to find robot work? And first of all, we're not talking about robots that are walking around with hands and legs, although that will be coming in the future. We're talking about software. When we talk about robots, we're talking about inside the computer. Well, but why? Why do we need to find this work? What's so important?
Well, I think the most important thing right now is, you all businesses want to reduce costs, right? I mean, if you're in business, you want to reduce costs so you can grow. In order to reduce those costs, you have to reduce your operations costs, right? Your overhead. In order to do that, you've got to find places that you want to automate. So if you want to grow, you look for those areas that you can automate so you can use your staff to other parts of your business where it's going to be more productive. And that's why it's so important that, small businesses, 75% of it's hard. 75% of businesses are having problems finding good help. When the help is already there, they already have the help within their own organization, but they have them behind the computer doing stuff that a bot can do, a robot can do. right? So that's why you need robot work, so you can get away from behind the computer and put yourself in front of it.
Mm-hmm. And put yourself in front of your customers, and your team can be in front of their customers, and they can be bringing more value. But also, when you, as you were talking about, when you're trying to scale and build your organization, you build it more efficiently with automation, because efficiency is involved there, right? So when you're talking about growth, you're talking about talent. Well, you're doing that at a better, higher, more efficient scale with automation, and that's why you need robot work, right?
And,
So that's one.
and how
Okay.
easy is it, while you're going through this, how easy is it to use the talent you already have to grow your business instead of bringing in new talent, right? Get them, if they already know your business, use
Right.
what you have and grow from there.
Right. Exactly. What is a robot? You know, well, we have a in our toolkit. There are many different things you can do when it comes to, when we say robot, we're talking about automation, we're talking about AI, we're talking about all those things that we're hearing these days. We just made it nice and cute and turned it into a robot. But we have four main tools in our toolkit that we use. And again, there's many tools that can be used, but these four tools is what was going to explain what they are and what they do. And then we're going to show you how using these tools can help you and your team get rid of that manual work. Wilton?
Yeah, well, every business now needs all these tools. There's no question about it. I mean, you saw in the earlier slide that a small business, it's not no longer an option. You have to have it, right? And there's usually three ways that you can use these tools. You can either hire somebody to learn how to use all these tools. It probably cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that, right? Because you have to hire them, and they have to learn how to do it. They have to learn how to use the systems and everything else. Or you can have someone be a consultant or contract work. If they know how to do it, come on in and do it. But what's going to happen is if something else has changes, or you need some updates, or you need to add something on, you got to hire them again. It becomes costly. Or you can work with somebody like us, where you can almost like rent a bot. That's a good one, rent a bot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do everything. Have the experience, because we do this on a regular basis, so we know exactly what we're doing, right? And we service it, we maintain it, we support it, we make the upgrades, and we develop it from end to end. So those are three different ways, and more businesses are going to that service model now, because they don't want to take it internal. Even the big businesses, like, hey, we don't want to bring our team or teach them our team that we already have how to do this, when we could have somebody like you come on in and do it for a penny. I won't say penny on the dollar, but
Right.
ROI is fast.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people spend a lot of time doing this, and the manual part is where you have to figure out, okay, how is this going to impact us? Where do we see those? If we do automate this, what does it impact us? And there's a lot of things that you should be doing, right? Instead of the things that you are doing, and things you should be doing are the judgment based, right? Judgment based type work, the customer facing. When you want to be more engaged with the customer, more engaged with your team,
Mm-hmm.
right? We want to be able to solve problems. Bots can't solve problems. People solve problems, right? There's a lot of unstructured things that you have to do within an organization that a bot can't do, that you have to continue doing. And of course, the value add. You show somebody, someone behind the desk, that if you said, hey, you know what? I don't want you doing this anymore. I have something better for you to do. Right away, they'll be like, their eyes are going to open up right away. The value of who they are and how they feel is going to go up right away. So those are the things they should be doing. But unfortunately, these are the things that they are doing, and the things that they are doing are repetitive type work, right? They're doing things over and over and over again, rule-based, and they know already it's already been built out, that we're just following that procedure. Structured data, which they don't have to do structured data, which we'll go into in a while. A routine, you wake up in the morning, you already know what's going to go to work. You're going to know what to do, because you already know, like, I would say the back of your hand, but I don't know the back of my hand. So you know it, right? You know how it works. And they're mundane and boring and painful and distracting. So these are things that you always want to pass on to somebody else. If you were able to pass this work on to somebody else, you would. And now you can, through automation. It's a lot easier than hiring somebody, trying to train somebody to do all this. All you got to do is take all these tasks that we're showing you right here, and being able to turn into a bot to do. So, in the way those 4 steps, there's very important steps, and people jump from one to another, but there's a strategy behind it all, and it's the AI steps, right? And these are all the tools that are in our toolbox, right? It's the action. The action is the first thing. We talk about the repetitive. We talk about the rule-driven type tasks, the rule-based tasks, structured data basically, which we'll go into in a while, and things that are scheduled and event-driven, right? This is a part that's called RPA, robotic process automation. These are things that everybody has right now that they're doing manually that they should automate. That's the first step. Second step is more of an AI mixed with automation, which is the IDP. It's intelligent document processing. So basically, you see a PDF, you get these invoices, you see the logo of a company, say, hey, that's ABC company. I already know and then you have to look at all their information on that PDF, grab that information, and you have to manually put it into your program. Okay? You don't have to do that anymore, right? The bot can do that. It scans that whole page, grabs it, and puts it into the system. And then there's data. The data is more machine learning. It learns as it goes. It'll get smarter and smarter, so that sooner or later you'll be doing less work or no work. And of course, the generative AI, like ChatGPT. Those are the ones that are more asking a question, it'll come back with the answer type things. You send out an email. This is what you want. This is what I want you to put on the email. Send it out. Boom, there it goes. Those are things that are more generative AI. So people are really jumping to the generative AI right now, and but they forget about the things that they should be working on to structure that to get to that point where they can really make AI boom for them. So those are the 4 steps that we do in our toolbox.
Yeah, that's a toolbox. And so what is robot work? Robot work is tasks that are system-based. They're structured, routine, and defined. They have rules. They're rules-driven, as Wilton was saying. It's also boring. It's also the kind of work that drives your team crazy because they're spending so much time doing this and they really don't want to, and they could be doing more valuable things. That's robot work. And robot work, robots smile at when they do. As this robot is smiling now, getting interviewed, knowing what he's getting ready to do in life, he's happy about it. Humans don't have that same sentiment. They don't have that feeling, right? So why do you need robots? So you can have happy people, Wilton. That's what I would say,
Absolutely.
So today's mission, why do we need to find robot work? What is a robot? We talked about that. What is robot work? Now, let's talk about how do we find that robot work? Like, what do we do? And these are the 4 characteristics that you need to look for. This is the part where you really pay attention and maybe even rewind, and we'll even have something we're giving away at the end to help you remember this process. But if you're looking to automate something in your business or anything in your business to get the effects that we've been talking about, there's 4 characteristics. 1, you want to look for processes that are defined. Wilton's going to expand on this when I go through it, after I go through it. But 4 characteristics to look for. Number 1, defined processes. Repetitive processes, meaning they're being done over and over and over again. Structured. Again, if it's structured, it's a candidate. And then system-based. All right, these are the 4 characteristics when you're looking or hunting for robot work, Wilton. And so let's talk about what makes a defined process.
Yeah, it's once you understand this thoroughly, you'll find areas of your business you can do right away. You'll find it, right? The defining process, right? Which is the best way to do it? Things you've been doing for a long time. They've already built out. They're already defined. You know how it works. Those are things that are easy things that you can automate, right? So they're already defined, and you have no issue. You don't know. There's no changes to it. You've been doing it for a long time the same way over and over. So those are tasks that you can find for sure. And then repetitive. Obviously you do it all the regular basis. You do it daily, weekly, monthly. It takes hours and hours a month to do these type of things. And the rules don't change. They don't change frequently. So in other words, you follow the same system over and over and again. You might have some updates of a software update or an invoice change here and there, but for the most part, they're the same over and over. It doesn't change. The logic in the whole process does not change. And it's structured. Structured is basically information that is always the same place. So like an invoice processing we talked about earlier, the logos there, the dates here, the quantities here, the prices here. That's all structured. Right? You already know that when you get that company, you know where all that information is going to be. You get that information, you know where all that information is going to be. That's structured data. And of course, system-based. System-based is laptop, computer, a virtual machine. The bot has to run somewhere. You have to work somewhere. Wherever you're working, the bot can work, right? So if you're working behind a desktop or a laptop or a virtual machine, the bot can do that too. So it has to be run on a machine.
And so we know everybody in business, if you're in business, you are dealing with selling or distributing your product or service. And with that comes
You froze again. Let's see if he comes back. I don't know if he froze or if I froze. There you are. You're back. You're back.
Oh, I never froze. Is that Black Panther? I never freeze. Let's hope I can embody that. So invoice management is something that every company in the world, every business is doing, because you have to manage the invoices. It's coming in. People are buying things, people are using things, people are doing things, and you are tracking things, Wilton. And so we figure we will show you something regarding invoice management from beginning to end, because this will be relevant to, again, everyone to some extent. So why don't you take this, Wilton, and kind of share these little components here?
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this one, because you're right. Before we get started, it's more people understand this, and even if you don't do this process, you'll get the idea of how it works. But the great thing about this, you got to remember, is that when you do volume, the more volume you do, the more you have to work. If you did 10 of them, you have to do, how much time you have to put into it. If you have to do 1,000 of them, how much time you have to put in it. How much labor goes into it. With the bot, it's the same, right? It works on volume. So you don't have to worry about getting more volume, because the bot can handle it. So the way it works basically, and when you read and input, it receives the PO. It looks all the information over, and then it starts preparing for it. And it lines, make sure that all the lines can be read. If it can be read, it enters into the system, whatever system that you use, and it puts it in there and it saves it. And if it doesn't, it'll go through a human. This is what's so important about keeping a human in the loop. There's always going to be human in the loop, because if a bot doesn't recognize it, it'll go back to human to understand it. And if it goes back to it, the thing about it is that once it understands it, it won't ask you again. So it'll continue learning. But the thing about it is that you want to keep that human in the loop, right? So, you give that line item, you enter it. And then if not, you verify by a human. Human verifies it, sends it back to the bot. Boom, it's done. And that's it. You close it, and you move on. And then, of course, the reconciliation, right? So the invoice, this one, the reading input, the steps in between all those, here are the steps within those different sequences. The first sequence is basically you see the PO, you download that invoice, get it on the email, whatever. You read that invoice, you make sure all the line items are there. If they are, you log into the system, you create the records, you save and close. If not, you pass the verification on to the human. The human says if there's 20 line items on there, it can't read 2 of them. It goes to the human reads it, sends it back to the bot. The bot says, okay, I remember it. I won't ask you again. Sorry for bugging you. The system creates it, records it, and saves it. So that's basically it on it. So the human in the loop is only verification.
Mm-hmm. And reconciliation is very much the same.
Yeah, it is the same, right? You log into the system, right? You always log into the system. You open the pending items, and then you verify all the lines, make sure they all match up. If they all match up, all you do is generate it, send it, and send the email out. If not, same thing. You verify it. You pass it on to someone to verify within the organization. They verify it, send it to the bot. The bot does it. If not, you send it to the management. The management will manually do it and end it. But you complete it, and you generate it from there. And the great thing about this is that once you're going to be able to see how much of this can be automated, right? And you'll be surprised on how much this can be automated. And right now, most of this is being done manually, right? So, but when you use automation, this is what happens. You see that everything, the action, we talked about action earlier, right? That you see on the right-hand side, the action is the RPA piece. The RPA piece. Most of this is RPA driven. Look at that, right? That's all the RPA pieces where you can, it reads the PO, downloads it, gets the download. And then the thing about we talked about earlier about reading the invoices, we talked about IDP, right? Intelligent document processing. So the way that works is that it gets that that PDF that can't be copied and pasted. It knows where all that information is. The AI knows where that information is. It grabs that information and puts it in for you. That's the only real part in the invoice that you really need to use IDP, right? And then if you also see here, the rest of it's RPA outside of the verification. Verification, you need some human to verify. If the bot can't read it, the human identifies it, sends it back to the bot, and the bot will continue on with this job and close it out. Same thing with reconciliation, right? Logs the system, opens the pending items, verifies all the lines are working. If so, it completes it and it generates it. If not, it passes on to the human. And if it does go through, once it goes through and it's complete the system's task, that's when we talked about earlier about generative AI, right? We talked about the AI part, right? So that part is where you you can send an email. That can be customized. Say, hey, Rob, everything's been finished. We did this, and this, and this. Thank you for your business. Boom, boom. That's it, right? But look at this document, right? This is what I like about invoices, that everybody can really see how much of this can be really automated. And when you take all those colored places and you look at it outside the verification, guess what? You just have a fully automated system.
That is incredible. And so the question is, how much robot work is out there? Meaning, how much can be automated in my processes currently that I'm doing? Well, we know that there's sequences in every process. Every process has multiple sequences, and they're all the same pretty much. From start to end, you have some tasks which make up the sequence. You have some decisions that have to be made, which we said there is where the human in the loop is. But those sequences make up the process. Come to find out, according to McKinsey, this number has also changed. It's gone higher by now. 51% of the activity within what you're doing, it can be automated. 50%, over 50% of what you're doing can be automated. That means that's free time. That's free time. And that doesn't mean jobs are at risk. Only 5% of jobs are at risk. Now, the tasks that those jobs are doing are at risk of being automated, and which is a good risk, because that means that those people are not free, right? They're more free to do the things they need to do and should be doing. So most workers are safe, but 100% of companies are not if they're not using automation.
You know, I had a great conversation with a potential client yesterday. They're ready to get going. In fact, talked to them yesterday. We're doing it today. We're going through the design today. They have, when you talked about, people risking, I was just going to lose my job, for businesses that are looking to grow, it doesn't happen that way. In fact, we're doing one right now where one person is doing it full time, like 8 hours a day, and they're doing it, and other people are doing it part time, right? Well, all of that, like invoice, it's not invoice processing, but it's like that. It's data extraction. It can all be automated, right? They're a growing company. They want to use them to do more productive things within the organization. They already know they have more skills in being able to do this, but they don't have the personnel to be able to take over this, so they can move him to another position. So they're saying, hey, we'll just get a bot to do it. And guess what? Now they're going to get more clients. That bot can do more and more and more work. They don't have to hire more and more people.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
That is the way you do it. That's the way to growth. And so let's talk about, where robot work is actually being done. All right. Where our robots get it done at. Again, when we say robots, we're talking about the software. We're talking about automation. Well, it's happening in the front office, the middle office, and the back office. All over the office, robots are getting busy and they're smiling, right? And we've seen a lot of activity in these three verticals here, but it's happening everywhere. And Will, you can kind of share. You've been seeing a lot. You have a Rolodex of stories. Well, why don't you share a little bit about what you've been seeing?
Well, I think lately, the reason why we want to bring these up is because we're seeing a lot of, obviously, accounting, a lot of data extraction. But what they're doing now, the tax season is over. They're looking back and seeing how the areas that they can improve, where all the delays happen, where all the errors happen. How can we eliminate that for next time? And we prepped some of them before the season even started. Tax season even started. Say, look out for these areas. Now they're like, oh yeah, I see what we need to do. So a lot of moving data, obviously, tax extensions now. That bot is popular, but the other, preparing them for next year so they can focus on more onboarding clients and not having to gather that information. The bot, they did a lot of delays, not only on the client end, but on the business end, where they didn't get the information for the client in time because they were so behind. And so now they're figuring out, like, the bot can send these reminders out all the time and start putting everything up. And when they're missing things, get them. So they're like, oh, wow, that's great. So now we're putting that together for accounting. Manufacturing, they work on a bunch of legacy systems, right? A lot of data extraction from one system to another system that they're trying to do. They're Excel driven, man. I didn't realize how much, but we're seeing a lot of business there because there's so many moving parts within that industry. And of course, property management. Property management has been growing. It's probably the last couple of years really grown. It's been a renter's market, and a lot of businesses are saying, hey, I want to be more involved with bringing on more tenants, getting more units, client, customer facing, taking care of vendors and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of movement in the property management industry. Of course, retail, law, and everything else. But these are the ones that we want to put up here because we're starting to see a little bit more traffic, sort of see more conversation in these areas, in this space.
Yeah. Good. And with that, we have some resources. And we've been giving these resources out and have been getting a lot of great feedback, particularly from the checklist and these automation use cases. So these use cases are designed to help you understand what is currently being automated in your industry and within your own business, right? And so that you can kind of take a look at these use case guides and guide yourself along the way. And then, of course, if you have any questions, that's where you have Simply Automate team. So there's a couple of things we want to cover here. One, this is the time where if you have any questions in the audience, you drop those questions right now in the comments. No time like the present. Okay, drop those comments and those questions in there, and we'll get them answered. Two, we're going to put these resources in here, and I want you to download what is valid to you and relevant to you in your business. I would say everyone should download the checklist, the automation checklist, because that's going to be your guide to understanding what's possible to be automated from a general perspective. And then, of course, the How to Find Robot Work PDF. This is basically a one sheet of what you've witnessed today. Okay. So there was some stat about when you watch something, 80% of it, you lose it within the next day. Well, don't do that. You can take this PDF and keep some of it. Okay. All right. Well, you got anything to share about these PDFs?
No, I think it's real important. The checklist is real important for sure. And, the reason why is because all businesses need automation. There's not one, if you're going to be irrelevant if you don't get it, if you don't do it. I mean, there's no way around it, right? And as a small business, how do you grow your business? By getting your name out there. People get your name out there, right? So let the bots do all the back work so you get the people to help you promote your business and grow your business. That checklist is a game changer. It's very simple, very easy to read. It'll allow you to sort of get a better understanding and get the resources you need to sort of start having the conversations that you need to get going.
Good. And so that will be in the comments for folks. And so we do got some questions. Like I said, if you have any, it's never too late to drop it down there in the comment section. The first question is, why or who should lead the hunt for robot work? Like, who should lead this hunt? That was a good question. Like, where do we start?
Yeah, great question. Well, lead the hunt, first of all, get the checklist, right? Understand where the hunt needs to begin, right? You got to know where you're shooting at before you go shoot it, right? So understand that part. So that's the most important part. But the one that leads the hunt, there's a couple of things. It really depends on how big the company is, right? You want the person that is the decision maker, but usually some of the time the decision maker is not the one that's going to impact more. So you want to be able to have the person that understands the process, like the one we're doing later on today. We're getting the person that understands the process, not the decision maker, the decision maker understands the pain the person is going through. So we're automating that, right? So make sure that person, the decision maker, understands the pain point of the individual, or it's their pain point, which usually in small businesses, it could be the CEO, the CFO, CTO, the managers, the directors, and things like that. So that's where you want to have those conversations, start the conversations, so you can get into the nuts and bolts of everything.
All right, that's good. And where is a good place to start was another question, and that's actually so it's two in one. Where is a good place to start, and
A
how
good
would I
place,
know that?
yeah, a great place to start. Again, we said those four pillars that we said we have to define it, right? There's you define it. I forgot the next one was uh, yeah,
Repetitive,
repetitive,
structured, and system based.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
repetitive, defined, repetitive, it's structured, and it's on a computer. It's on the
Mm-hmm.
computer, right? So anything that you basically are there things that you remember that do over and over and over again. That's a good place to start the conversation.
Yeah.
Start the conversation, and you'll get a better idea of where you want to start implementing it, right? Because you can sit down and say, "Oh, I want to do inventory management," and then you get in there and say, "Oh, okay, well, I understand it, but this pain point's bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather do sales orders because it seems like it's a bigger pain point for us, and our salespeople don't know how to do the sales orders as well as we need to get them done. Whatever, okay? That may be a bigger pain point, but start the conversation. That's what you want to do. Start the conversation, and it's usually a rule-based repetitive task.
Hmm. Yep. Another big question is what tools should we use? So we did talk about a variety of them, but what tools?
Yeah, well, well, right now, if your business is working and you're doing okay with what you're doing, those tools is all you need. The next thing you need to do is consult with somebody like a company like ours, so we can go in there and figure out what other things that you need or what you can eliminate. That's what people don't understand, that sometimes you can eliminate things because you can automate it from, instead of going from A, B, C, D, you can go from A to D right away and eliminate B and C because of automation, right? So that's why it's a different type of level of automation, I guess you say, or software, because sometimes you can eliminate more than you have to purchase. So, but as far as tools, you want to definitely want to have some type of RPA tool and some AI tool and an IDP. And usually a company has that. Someone like us, we have that, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you don't know if you do want to look more into it, you have to look into what you're doing currently, your volume that you're doing, and then and figure out which way to go from there. And that again, that's talking to us.
That's it. And you can schedule a call. Schedule a call with Wilton. The link is down there in the comments. Schedule your one-on-one. Have the conversation and get your questions answered. Because the worst thing that can happen is you can be more educated than you were before. Right. Best thing that can happen is you can find something to automate in your business, and then that's just the beginning.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this, and I'm glad you brought that up. The client we met yesterday that we're working with today, I talked to him about a year ago, right? and we talked about what we can do, what we're capable of doing. He's like, I like that. It sounds great. I'll let you know when we're ready. He saw something that he said, this is a game changer for our company. We needed it like yesterday. He remembered that conversation because he understood how it can help his company. He's like, oh yeah, we can do that. Let me call Wilton. So he got a hold of me, and then we set up a meeting. Right, just that conversation. It was half an hour conversation that I had with him, and here we are now getting ready to save them about 12 hours a day worth of manual work.
What?
Yes. Yeah.
12 hours a day.
A day. Yeah.
Those numbers sound like magic. What's interesting is how a lot of people don't. It's hard for them to believe it. It's hard to conceptualize. But all you have to do is think about how much time you're spending.
That's it. And that's why the conversation is so important, because it may not be right now. It may be you're going through something like, oh, we can use automation for that, and that's when the conversation can pick up. So just getting on a call and understanding is the most important thing.
Yep. So there you go, folks. There you go. How to find robot work. Those are your resources, automation use cases. You have automation in accounting, automation in property management. You have your automation checklist, and also how to find robot work. And the best one is Wilton's link to schedule your one-on-one, right? To get any of your questions answered about any of these things or anything in between. Wilton, any final words?
No, the only final word is that this is it's a must. If you are not implementing RPA, if you're not implementing generative AI, or you're not doing it the right way, or you don't know how to do it, let's have that conversation. We're not going to do a hard sell; it's just a conversation. I open up my schedule as much as possible. This is the only schedule on here that finds all the 30-minute slots in my schedule. And so, it's I'm available anytime throughout the week for a conversation. So, it's a must. It's not something that I would sit on and wait till it takes off, and then also you got to jump on it to play catch up because as things change, we know about it before they change. So we're ahead of the game.
There it is. The wave is coming, and you don't want to wipe out. You want to surf it. So get with the folks who will help you stay on top of the waves. Thanks for being here.